Hello, dear friends. I think that today is going to be a little bit of a different flavor of what I normally talk about. It's actually the same flavor, but it's going to be more addressed to women because I do believe that when we talk about core wounding and, the frozen parts held in, most women have been abused in one way or another, sexually abused. Very, very common for women. And what do we do with that? We kind of deal with it, the impact of it, and we move on into our lives. And, we walk around with a face where, we're good, we can handle this. There's like this courageous part in a woman, she's just gonna keep on living her life. But with that, there is there is a deep, deep contraction down in our hips, in our yoni, in our pelvic region that may have been held in for so long that we may have even forgotten about it. And as always, of course, I'm talking about myself. And when I see things in myself, many times I just see it as universal. Many, many years ago, I had this deep seeing and experiencing of what I'm just talking about, and how I just felt such a love and compassion for all women because I could see that most every one of us, we're carrying around this contraction in our womb, in our yoni, in our pelvic region. You can use whatever words you want, but it is down in that second chakra, first and second chakra. And it's just there. And many times we kind of have to bypass it because it's huge. It's touching on things inside of us that we may not even know about. When I saw that many years ago in basically all women, there was one day on my way home, I just ran into some women here and there. And when I come home and I was doing some deeper work, I just saw how every woman is basically suffering. I'm not saying 100% of women, but the majority of women, they're suffering deep down, and we don't know what to do with it because we live in a world where women are still being sexualized, seen as sexual objects, and where her yoni is kind of something that wants to be taken or penetrated without love, without permission, without respect, without honoring it. And it's so common in the world. So I'm just going to address that specific area a little more today, and speaking to all of the women, all of us women who've gone through it, one time, many times, who knows? There's so much to this. So I want to just keep it, maybe on the lighter side, just to really bring this to our attention, that this is a real thing. And it's not something we should minimize or ignore. It's also not something we should get attached to or dramatize. It is something we need to be present with, just as I've been talking about the core wound and, the frozen droplets, the frozen wave, the unintegrated parts, the parts that we push out and don't let in. This part of us down in our pelvic region really, really needs to be addressed and included. As I have been doing this deeper work lately, a big chunk of it has been arising, but not in a dramatic way, but actually in a very sweet way. I think maybe because I have enough presence to be able to really be present with it without being pulled in, without being pushed out, um, without dramatizing it, but just being fully present with it. So I want to share a little bit about what my discovery is. And again, as I'm seeing this discovery in myself, I know this is so true for every woman, all the women, every other woman. So we're holding as we are being molested in whatever way that is. And it can even just be having somebody look at you with lust. It's an energetic penetration, and it happens all the time. And you know what we do as women? Most women, even just a look like that, we can feel it and we contract down there. And we don't even know we are doing it. It's kind of like I'm always sensing that, our yoni, our the core of our center of our divinity is kind of what it is. It's very closely connected to that. It's like it really is frozen and it's gotten numb for many women. And going there, it's like, I don't know what to do. So I want to first today just honor that so many of us are walking around with a smile on our face, being loving, being kind, whatever we do. It's just covering this deep contraction, this deep pain, this deep sense of unworthiness, because we have been penetrated in whatever way without our conscious permission. We may say yes. I think we've all done that as women. We've said yes when we really didn't want it. We were afraid if we didn't say yes to whatever we were invited to do with a partner or a stranger, who knows, whatever your experience is. There's been this deep fear, and I know, again, I know this for myself too, but I've heard many, many women say the same. There is this deep fear that if we don't say yes, when our body says no, they'll probably put us down, make us sound like there's something wrong with us. They may not show interest in us anymore. And because we have lived in such a sense of insecurity and uncertainty about who we are and what is okay to say yes to, what is okay to say no to, because it's been so scary for most women. We have said yes when every cell in our body said no. How does your body, let's say, how does your yoni say no? It contracts. It contracts. And it is protecting our most precious part of our being. And because we have suppressed it and contracted around it for so long, there is kind of a numbness to the wisdom and the sweetness and the deliciousness of this part of ourselves. It's like we have covered it over and we are not consciously in touch with it. And remember, I'm speaking from my own experience too. And I always want to make sure that you know that this is not just something I'm reading in a book. I share with you my direct experiences on my channel because many of these things are not really spoken about. There's so much shame to talk about our our unspiritual parts, like I talked about the other day, our unenlightened part, our angry part. There's so much shame around just being a human being who has a lot of parts inside that are not healed yet. And instead of doing what we need to do is to bring it out in a safe environment where we can get the help and the support to liberate those parts, we shut them down, we ignore them, and we feel shame around it. And then we walk around contracted like that. So to come back to our pelvic region, I don't know if it's the right timing to do this right now, but I want to just invite you to take a breath and let yourself sink down into your pelvic region. Just see if you have any kind of sensation or energy or awareness down there. If you have, great. If you don't have, great. If you feel numb, great. There's no right or wrong. There's just becoming aware what is going on down there. Are you totally disconnected from it? Or is it totally active? Maybe it's overactive, or maybe it is just totally blissful in there. Because I can tell you that the bliss is right there when we open up to it, when we start paying attention to our pelvic region, to our yoni, to that deep inner sensation where the deliciousness lives. And because we have shut it down and stopped listening to it, this is really the wisdom seat of a woman. I'm not saying that there aren't others, because I know the heart is a big seat for wisdom too. And the whole body is, I always listen to my body is always informing me of what it's a yes or a no, it's a stay or a go, it's a hold on, let go. It's like it's just there, and it's just this free flowing information that I always have access to. That doesn't mean that sometimes I may not get it totally right, but that's not the point. The point is to just make ourselves more and more available to this wisdom. Well, when we go down into our pelvic region, to our yoni, to that, it really is it's like a gem, or it's like a lotus flower that has closed, or a gem that has stopped shining because we have been covering it by contracting, right? It's like somebody penetrates us when we don't want it. There's no way that our lower part, our yoni, is not going to contract. It will contract. And unless we do some work to help soften that again, it's going to stay contracted. But when you start opening up to it, and this is the beauty of it, it is like with every frozen droplet that I've been talking about recently, inside each one of them, there is something so precious, because it is love, it is light, it is the flow of our natural divine expression. But we have to allow it. We have to stop contracting around it. And I don't mean that in a way you have to stop it. It's like we have to make this serious business to learn to soften around these frozen parts so they can actually start expressing themselves and inform us of what they are, what it is. So again, back to the yoni, when it's been so contracted, we've been holding down the feminine wisdom, the feminine divine expression we have contracted around because we had to. There was no other way we knew what to do. It was probably a really wise thing. But imagine walking around with such a contraction around the part that knows exactly what is right for us. when you start listening, when we start opening up to that lotus flower, let it start opening up petal by petal, or allow that gem to start shining one ray at a time, where it just start coming back online. Then you will be able to feel what is going on there. You will be able to listen. And it is so fine-tuned that when you listen and say, for instance, I really want to know, tell me, I want to know what is right for you. And then we are the ones who need to honor that, not by contracting around it, but by honoring what this light-filled wisdom gem inside is saying. And the answer is crystal clear when we go there and listen and honor it. So, dear women, we have a center of wisdom inside, down in our pelvis, that will tell you exactly what you need to do and what you need to not do. And when we connect with that, when we honor it, when we talk to it and ask it, show me, is this right? You'll feel it's either going to contract or it's going to open up with a feeling of deliciousness, because this gem in there, it just wants the space to express itself. And who other than you and I can give it that space? It does not want us to contract it anymore, to contract around it anymore. So to feel safe, to keep something out. We've done it. We've all done it, probably more than one time. And it doesn't work. All it does is make us walk around with a frozen yoni, with a contraction, with a protection, with frozen waves and droplets. And we become more brittle and more tight. We don't radiate as much. Our heart shuts down. Even though the heart may be open, we're not fully open in our whole body. Once we are that, then it's so much easier to know what is right and what isn't right. So that's when it's going to be easier to let go of our attachments to the matrix. And of course, some of the attachments are, I want to be loved. So, if this person is going to love me, if I say yes instead of no, I want that. No, don't do it. It's never going to work. It's never going to work. It's just going to make us walk around as these little frozen droplets and not be happy, not be fulfilled, not be flowing. So, yeah, I think I will hold here, because it's already a huge mouthful. I have never really talked about this specific experience, but because I've been going through it myself now, it feels so rich and so important for every single woman. It doesn't have to be really difficult. It's really learning to just sink into the body all the way down to the hips and spend some time there, listening, feeling, honoring. Oh, she loves to be honored. She loves to be honored. When I say, I really honor and I love you, right away, it's like the lotus flower just opens up just on her own. And then if I suddenly do something the opposite, I can just feel that there's a contraction right away. So when we fine tune into our pelvis, and it really is a fine tuning, and it's something we have to spend some time with. It's not just one time, it's all the time. But why would we not want to be connected to our wisdom center in our bodies? Right? That wisdom center is is a direct line to the divine feminine, maybe, to that energy that maybe expresses itself in a more feminine way. But of course, it's all the same energy because there's only one energy. It may show up in different forms and expressions. So maybe you want to take some time today and it's just a matter of breathing down all the way down into your hips, into your pelvic region, into your yoni. You don't need to do anything. She's there waiting for you to connect with her. What could be more important than that? Thank you so much for today. And please let me know how it goes. Please like, subscribe, share, sign up, become so you receive notifications from me when every time I do a new video. And I always love to hear from you. If you need help with this, please reach out. I would be honored to help you connect back with any part of your body, any part that feels separate and alone and frozen and unhappy. It's really possible to connect back with love to yourself. Isn't that beautiful?